Good morning, guys, and welcome to episode 108 of the Emergency Shed Storage Cleanout series. That's a mouthful early in the morning. We've got to get some further down this shed. We've nearly got one of the shelves empty. Another 2 or 3 more episodes and we'll be able to move another shelf out. That's exciting. If you guys know more about what's in this episode at this stage than I do, because you've seen the thumbnail, I'm just starting filming and I have no idea where we're going to go. So let's go and have a look and see what we can get today. And we have to walk all the way down, well, halfway down this shed, because I think it goes another half again. So I'll have to do another measurement out on the outside wall so we get a bit of an idea of how far we've got to go. This shelf unit I'm keen to get out of here because it will buy us some more concrete floor space, which is always welcome. We have 2 mystery tubs, a mystery blue toolbox, and a large CRT computer monitor. Not sure how long it'll take to get through all that. Let's get this blue toolbox today and see what's in it. There's a couple of old TV remotes there. Well, I keep all the remotes because they are useful at times. They may even suit some TVs that are buried deep in here. Probably not that one. I think that's too old for a remote control. So we'll work on this shelf. We'll get the blue box out. If that's a pretty easy job, we might have a look at that plastic tub. I feel like we haven't done an episode of this shed clean out series for nearly 2 weeks, but we did one early last week because we went to the farm, and it's late this week by the time I'm getting around to this one. Thanks, by the way, for all the regulars that have commented on the final episode of the farm clean out series. It was a bit emotional. It was the end of an era, and I loved, in fact, it got to me a little bit, all your comments, all your great comments, and some to the people that bought me coffees too. Much appreciated. Some lovely comments, particularly from Paul, and a lot of my regulars had some great things to say because they've followed the series right through. So a lot of us feel like it was our farm, not just my farm. So that was good. I enjoyed all that. Thanks for all your comments. They're much appreciated. Let's get in this blue box without any further ado. Well, not get in it, but open it and have a look. See what treasures we're going to find today. Okay, lay your bets. What's in it? Tools? Well, it's a toolbox, so odds are, but it may have been repacked with other stuff. I don't recognize it. Oh, that's tight. I don't think it was one of my toolboxes. In fact, I'm sure it wasn't. So it's possibly not my old tools in here. There we go. It's like breaking into a treasure chest. What's in? Oh, okay. Aluminium pulleys. I wasn't expecting that. So some cast aluminium V-belt pulleys. That's in good condition. Well, that's better than scrap metal. We'll be able to sell those. This one's another one, 7-inch nylock cast aluminium. It's the smaller section. It's an A section belt. Very small center hole, so it's possibly off an electric motor. Doesn't have a keyway, but does have a grub screw. But still, they're saleable. I think I'd get at least $5 for those through the shop. That one doesn't have a keyway either, but a grub screw. So, all right, I think we can write down $5 each for those. Now, the tray has, who knows what these are? These are fittings. Well, they're very large nails. We'll forget about those. These are all fittings out of meat mincers, various sorts, different size cutters. That's your more standard kitchen one. These ones went in a much larger mincer. So they're all meat mincer fittings, and there's some meat mincer bits in the rest of the box, as well as some more cast aluminium pulleys. That's a small one off an electric motor. That one looks more like it's possibly off a washing machine. Again, electric motor, grub screw. Still quite useful. And there's a double one, all cast aluminium. That weighs a fair bit, but again, scrap-wise, it's not worth very much. If we can sell them as useful things, we're going to get much better money. That's a wider V, so that suits the B section belts, which were quite a bit wider. Let's see what that weighs, just to give us an idea of scrap value. There's some little digital scales that I got in a recent e-waste video, and they're proving very handy. Will they work while I'm holding it? Yeah, there we go. So we've got just over half a kilo, about 520 grams. A bit difficult because I'm holding it, it's not getting an accurate figure. But around about half a kilo, that's less than $1 for scrap. So we should be able to get $5 through the shop. Much better value than scrap for that. All right, we do have more meat mincer parts. I've probably kept these as I've found them out of people's sheds and occasionally you can make up a complete mincer. This one's close, so that just needs the cutters and things on that end. The clamp's good because sometimes these are broken off, and it needs a handle. Some of them have different types of handles. This one, oh, that looks like it. Yep, so that's the right handle. That's on a tapered triangle, and it needs a screw and a large washer. Sometimes they have like a big wing nut, but that one's close to being able to be fixed up. Now, in complete condition, I would sell something like that through the shop for about $20. So it's not worth going to a lot of trouble, but you know, it's worth keeping the bits. There's a lot of different sizes, that's the only trouble, and different brands. Parts aren't necessarily interchangeable. So whether I should keep a box of parts and gradually just go through them and make up bits. Sometimes I have a complete mincer and just need the cutters. And there's a set of the cutters. They're off a Beatrice, which is a fairly common English meat mincer. Here's another one that looks pretty much complete. It's got the handle. It's got that's a National, same as the other one. And that's got a wing nut type thing there. So we might be able to fix a couple of them up. But otherwise, the other option is to put a whole box of these mincer parts in the shop. It just saves me keeping things, because, you know, you can keep boxes of assorted parts for anything you can imagine, hoping to make up a complete whatever it is. And next thing, the shed's entirely full of just parts, and you never, you know, you might luckily get one item to put together, have all the bits and sell it and make you $20. But for the return you get, storing all this stuff, I don't think it's really worth it. So I might go through this today, make sure there's no other bits. Oh, there might be another box of bits. So I guess we should hold off for now. But what I will do probably once I've been through the rest of that shed there is just box them up as a whole lot of assorted mincer bits and sell them at, you know, $20 the lot, and let someone else use the parts. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. But we may be able to make at least one out of here. Another little pulley. Alright, let's get all the mincer stuff out of the road. A few other bits in the bottom of this toolbox. Okay, let's pull the rest of the stuff out of here now, and we can get the box off the bench. Here we have a large G-clamp. I think that was Tudor. It's obviously been welded. It's been snapped clean in half and had a repair. Gee, someone must have had a lot of pressure on it. The screw part seems okay, so it would still work. It's got a fair bit of weld on there, so I reckon it would still work okay. I'm going to put that in the shop for $10 just as it is. I'm not going to clean it up or anything. If it wasn't a repaired one, I'd certainly ask more. I think we'll try and get 10 for that. We have a shovel handle. Now this is the part of the shovel handles that usually breaks or gets badly weathered. It's just a matter of a couple of rivets. So if I do have a shovel with a dodgy top handle or a D handle, this would be a reasonable replacement. But exactly the same theory. I've got to be a bit tougher on what I keep in case I might need a part for something one day, especially just random hardware. I'm going to take that to the shop and put it in the $1 box. Someone else can then have the idea, hey, I might need that handle one day. I'll store it in my shed. But they probably have more room in their shed than I do. Here we have a couple of, well, few wheels. I guess these are toys. They're a matching set. They've got solid rubber tyres. They're a die-cast wheel rim and hub. There's even a smaller one here. So look, what am I going to do with those? I do have a box of assorted wheels in the shop for $5 each. I think the bigger one can certainly go in there. Maybe that pair can be a pair of toy wheels for $5. And I have a jar of little ones somewhere that I'll just fill the jar until it fills and then sell the jar for whatever I think I can get for it. So again, the chances of me needing a wheel this size with the right centre hub are so remote that I just don't want to clutter my shed with that sort of stuff. And I'm probably more likely to find a need for it than most people, given that I'm cleaning out other people's sheds and I'm fixing stuff up all the time. But I just have to start being a little bit tough on what I do keep, because I just don't have the room. So we'll see if we can get 5. We'll see if we can get 5 for the pair, and the little one can go in a jar. So we're making some decisions this morning. That's good. I must have just had enough coffee. So our tin's empty. We might leave this tin to keep all the mincer parts in. I I'm reconsidering keeping them at all now. I think I might just sell all the Mincer parts. And if I do turn up more, well, I'll just do the same again. All right, I think that's enough for that toolbox. We'll move this stuff aside and we'll go and get maybe the mystery tub that was next to it. This tub is heavy and you will never believe what's in it, or perhaps you might. It looks like a whole tub of meat mincer parts. I had no idea I had so many of these. I must have sorted them from my old shed. I don't know if there's any complete ones, but I'm glad this was next to the other box, because now we can make a decision on them all, which I kind of had made already. It'll just make a bigger lot. Maybe we'll split them into two. I guess we should see if there are any complete ones, because that's much better for the bottom line. But wow, this empties off the shelf completely, and we have to make decisions on these now. But yeah, the time has come. Let's sort them out. Okay, it doesn't look to be all meat mincers, but certainly the top are. And there's some larger ones. That's often what happens with the clamps for the bench. It loses the cut part. And then when you do the clamp up into your bench, it pushes a hole into the wood. So that one's incomplete as well. That's number 2 universal. Fairly common one, but a larger style. Now that collar's off one of the bigger ones that had those plates that we had in the other box. We have lots of random handles with the forcing screw. There's a smaller universal one that looks complete. There's the little cup on top of the thread, so that one's okay. That looks like fairly standard size. We might be able to make up a complete one there. And this one, much the same. Again, it's missing that part. It's a Beatrice number 2, fairly common English one. So yeah, we'll see how we go. Loose handles. Another one, this is a Beatrice, or also they say Harper. I'm not sure what the brand was. The clamp's good on that one. So that one might be easy enough to fix up as well. So hopefully we get a few complete ones, because they do sell quite well. This is a much larger one. It has a patent date of 1888 on it. And it's Enterprise Tinned Meat Chopper number 10. That's a really nice one, that one. So, all right, we might be able to... Where's that collar? That should go on there. Yeah, I think we should be able to get that one going. Being so large, we might get about $30 for this. It has a different setup on the clamp, so the clamp looks in good order. All right, it'd be good if we can get some complete ones. And this one is different. This is like a grater. Oh, yeah, this one... I think I had this welded up at one stage. Interesting. So it had a broken stand. I didn't weld it though. I don't remember doing it, but I have a feeling I went and asked a local engineer to do it, being cast iron, and he's obviously painted it silver. So that's complete, and I think it's complete. I'm not sure if it has any other fittings, but that will certainly sell. Not sure what those ones are worth. Now we have lots more cutters out of these things. They're a bit rusty. And I'm not sure what they are. I don't think they're like a wedge. I don't think they belong to the Mincers. There's a little wing nut that probably does. Alright, I think that's all the Mincer stuff. We have a few other bits and pieces in here. We have a bit of steel cable, a hacksaw blade. Someone commented a while back on me keeping hacksaw blades. I think I've got more than enough now. That one's fairly second hand. Some old scissors, might be just handy in the garden section here. A few random screwdrivers, some punches, an old socket, some galvanized bolts. This is real mixed bag. Plastic lid off something, a little bench mounted grinder that ran off a V-bolt from an electric motor. So that's pretty oily. I think it's probably worth a wash up. I reckon we'd sell that. We might get nearly $20 for that. That looks like a wheel off one of our local rubbish or recycling wheelie bins. I'm not sure how that ended up here. Another multi-stage pulley, 3 on that one. An axe head. So it'd be worth seeing if it's got a brand on it, because some axe heads can do quite well. If you remember, recently we sold that HB Swedish axe head for $100 on eBay. I have to see if that's got a brand on it. A very old and well weathered air, what do they call these things, for blowing up your tyres. I don't know if it works or not. Looks pretty weathered. The rubber hose has probably perished. It could probably just go in our irony aluminium box. But it might work. We better check that out a bit better. A rusty old file. A large coal chisel. Looks to be in pretty good condition. I think it's branded. It's got a really nice point on it. That'll be worth cleaning up. And just a few loose files, screwdrivers, punches, a old SIG chrome ring spanner, but very rusty. A swing over latch, probably off an army box or something. It's seized up. And yeah, another bolt. That's about it. Alright, I'll sort this out. I'll see if I can make up some mincers, and I'll give you a look at it once I get a bit more organisation on my bench. Okay, after an hour or so of cleaning and organising, I'm going to do this in 2 bench lots because I don't have enough space. Here's everything else except the mincers, and we'll go through them next. And what I'm going to do with this stuff, and I'll get the notepad out shortly. The G-clamp I'm just selling as it is, same with all these pulleys as mentioned before. I'm not going to go to any trouble cleaning them up. Those girl bolts and the nails I'll just group with other lots of hardware I have here, so I won't write anything down for that. All this stuff, I didn't even bother cleaning that air pressure gun, whatever it's called. I'm just going to put all that stuff in the $2 a pick box, and if it's there for too long, it'll be in the $1 a pick box, and if it's there for too long, it'll be in the scrap metal bins. I'm not going to write down anything for that. This little cast iron post grinder is pretty cool. It's even got, I didn't notice before, it's got a drill chuck on one end as well. So it cleaned up quite well. I'm going to put 20 on that and see how we go. It's a great relic from the past, back when you didn't have sealed bearings and you had to have little caps here to lift up the lid and put a drop of oil in from your oil can to oil the bushes. So we'll try and get 20 for that. I kind of like it. It's pretty cool. The axe head I cleaned up on the wire wheel. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a brand on it. It's a nice early axe head. There's no damage. It hasn't been overly abused. There's no cracks. And it is actually very sharp on the edge. I think I'm going to put $20 on that in the shop. It's certainly an old one, but unfortunately it hasn't got a brand. We'll see how we go there. I might have to drop it to 10, but we'll try 20. The coal chisel looked like a ripper. I buffed that up as well, and it's only got some letters hand stamped on here. It says, I think it says EN2. It's quite possibly a school project or an apprentice piece. It has a really nice sharp end on it. I can only assume that it's been heat treated properly. It may not be, but I'm going to put $5 on that. It certainly hasn't been used or abused. So $5, we'll see how we go. The SIG chrome spanner is a made in Australia one. I am building up a collection of those, so I'm going to hang on to that. It's a common size, 9/16 and 1/2 inch AF. I'm sure I've got one, but I'll hang on to it for now. If I wanted to sell it down the track, I'd just put 5 on that one. The cable actually had a brass clamp on the end. I just took that off from my brass bins. And the wheels, as discussed earlier. So we'll note all that in the notepad shortly. The wheelie bin wheel I'm going to keep because I have numerous wheelie bins for scrap copper wire and stuff, and I think one of them has a dodgy wheel, so we'll call that the spare tyre. So there we go. I'll get this off the bench. I'll get the other stuff up here, and then we'll look at the notepad. And I managed to get quite a lot of these mincers complete enough to sell, whilst you wouldn't use them, but then you wouldn't anyway. They're quite rusty, and people only buy them for nice kitchen displays, although I have sold some of these bigger ones for guys that wanted to make fishing burley, and that would still work fine. But I've got a few of them together. Well, all these ones I think I can sell as complete units. And then we have numerous leftover cutters and bits and pieces, as well as the forcing screws and handles and a couple of bodies that I didn't have enough to make up anything that would stay together. So I'm going to sell this lot at maybe $30 we'll try for all the parts and see how we go. I could probably sell it. I was going to put $10 on the toolbox, but I think we'll leave it there and we'll sell the whole lot for $30. So whoever buys it is getting, you know, a $10 toolbox, so essentially $20 for the parts. I'm happy to go with that because they go nicely in there. And the rest of them, well, they've come up quite good. And I was lucky that I kept, and I always like to point this out for the times that it happens, when you keep things, because they'll be handy one day, a jar of wing nuts, and I managed to find a few of them, the right thread to enable me to put 3 of these together. And as I said, whilst they're probably not, I mean, they do crank over and they would mince things. You certainly wouldn't want to put your fingers in there, but they're probably not good enough to actually continually use. But the threads, right, the wing nuts went on fine. So I'm going to ask $20 each for these 4. I'm going to ask $40 for this one because it is all original. I didn't have to find any parts for that, and it would work perfectly fine. It's a nice piece and it's larger than the normal ones. We'll go 40 on that. And this grater, I had a quick look online. I could only find one for sale. Someone was asking $75. Of course, it hadn't sold. This one has been repaired, and it's a shame that whoever did it painted the bottom silver. It would have looked better just being kind of rusty metal. But I'm going to go $30 on that. They're not very common as compared to these mincers that do turn up all the time. I would have sold hundreds of these mincers in my time. This is the first one of these I've actually seen in person. So that's going to add up to a fair bit, isn't it? This is the money shot. Fantastic. All right, I'll get the notepad out and we'll see how we've gone for this week. Well, I'm not sure what's more exciting this week, getting rid of a lot of volume out of my shed or getting a decent total on the notepad. What I just went through added up to $270. As mentioned, the only thing I did with the cast iron pulleys, there were 7 of them. I just said, let's say 5, because the little ones may not sell, or they might end up in the $2 box or the $1 box. But otherwise, I'm pretty confident in getting those prices for that stuff. So $270 for this week's Emergency Storage Shed Cleanout Series, potentially. If we duck back to last week's episode, we did sell that grinder for $20. And the previous week, we've sold the brass pad bolt, we've sold the stove hot plate tool, and the Carby is actually on eBay now, so I will be reporting on that in my eBay series. It hasn't had any bids. I started it at $60 to see if we could get our 50, but nothing else sold there as yet, but it's only really had one weekend in the shop. And a quick skip back to the previous 2 weeks, the skill drill, that was the one in the case, we did sell for $25. And out of the lot before, we have sold the tin snips, but nothing else as yet. But that's all right. We're getting some good shop stock. I don't need to discount this stuff. I do like it in the shop, and it does sell pretty quickly anyway. So with today's total, we're potentially up to just over $16,800. When I say potentially, well, it's only the last few weeks that still have stuff. All the earlier episodes, we've sold everything. Pretty much. There might be the odd thing floating around. A couple I may have discounted. But sometimes I drag something out of my shed that I said I was going to keep, and it ends up in the shop anyway. So that figure would be pretty accurate. It's a lot of money out of basically half a shed. And who knows what we're going to find next. So thanks for coming along on these journeys. We're still doing them every week. We haven't missed in over 2 years. And I'm liking, I can't miss it now, no matter what happens. I've got 2 years in a row. Let's go for 3. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.